First of all, I hope that you'll just find the book is just a good, funny read. It's about a family with 3 raucous boys, and on that level I think it works just as an entertaining read. But my book is about my relationship with my father. My father was a rough, tough former Marine. He was born and raised in the Jim Crow South during the Great Depression by a mother who was illiterate. My dad never knew his biological father. The name Elder, my name, is the name of his mother's boyfriend, who I guess was in his life the longest, and that's why he began using his name. My dad doesn't know who his biological father is, never met him. My dad doesn't even know his birth date because his mom was illiterate, and so he was born in the back room somewhere. They didn't write down his name in the family Bible, which is the normal protocol back then in the South, so he doesn't know what his birthday is. So he's 13 years old. He comes home and makes too much noise for his mother's then boyfriend. All 3 of them start quarreling, and he ends up getting kicked out of the house, my dad, never to return at the age of 13. A series of Dickensian jobs, and he joins the Marines during World War II, becomes a cook. They make him I find out later on after he died, they made him a staff sergeant. So he comes back to the South after cooking for the Marines during the World War II effort to get a job as a cook. He is told, "I'm sorry, we don't hire any ins." He's told this the whole time he's looking around in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he had then relocated. So he goes to LA, where he had been as a Pullman porter. That was the job that he had right before he joined the military. And he traveled all around the country and came out to California and thought California was sunnier. People seemed to be more friendly, more warm. He thought he'd pull up stakes and live there. So he goes around and tries to find a job as a cook, and he's told, "I'm sorry, you have no references." This is the difference between the way they do it in the South, the way they do it in California in the 40s. So he takes 2 full-time jobs as a janitor, cooks for a family on the weekend, and goes to night school at night to get his GED. I never saw a human being work that hard, and as a result, my father had an hellacious temper. He was always hair-triggered, always ready to blow up, and my brothers and I were deathly afraid of him. All these things I just now told you about my dad, I never knew until we had an 8-hour conversation, which is the basis of this book. This book is based on an 8-hour conversation that I had with my dad after he and I had a falling out when I was 15 years old over something that in retrospect was relatively trivial. And for 10 years after we had a fight when I was 15 years old, we had no meaningful conversation. We sat down and we talked when I was 25 years old for 8 hours. That's the basis of the book. From 2:30 to 8:30, we sat and talked on 2 stools at the little restaurant my dad owned, and he went from being this SOB to this kind, caring, sensitive guy that I completely misunderstood. And that's the basis for the book. I hope it works on a number of levels. If you are coming from a single-parent household, my dad shows you how to do it. You have sometimes to be your own role model. If you try hard and struggle, people will help you. If you come from a household where you're lucky enough to have your dad, you're probably going to have some issues with him. We almost all do. They're just trying to do their best and recognize that no matter how hard they try, they're going to make mistakes, just as you make mistakes. But recognize they gave you life, and you should love them and embrace them and try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And maybe, just maybe, you're going to find out that you were wrong about the things you thought they said, the things you thought they did, and you're going to find out you may have had a loving parent beside you all along, as I was lucky enough to find out. I've shared this book with so many of my friends. Many of them never connected with their dads. Their dads died and never reached out and to have the meaningful conversation that I did. So maybe, just maybe, this book as a holiday gift will encourage families to talk to each other, reach out. That's all we have is each other. And maybe, just maybe, the fight or the thing that you have in your head that causes you to not have a connection was probably something relatively minor or fictitious altogether. Clear it up. That's what the book is about. Dear Father, Dear Son is a 247-page apology to my dad, who was part of the world's greatest generation, did his best, and I honor him and I salute him, and I encourage all of us to treat our parents this way.